Welcome to Stevie's Kitchen. Today, we're gonna make spaghetti and meatballs. This is how we do it in Stevie's Kitchen, and you're gonna love it. So first, we're gonna get this dough going. It's pretty simple. It takes about 8 to 9 minutes, and that's really just with the stand mixer doing it. If you want to, you can work this by your hand, but I will say, depending on what type of flour you use, you might wanna reconsider that. If you use like an all-purpose flour, it's a lot easier to use your hand. I like to use 0.00 flour. It's a little more gluten, makes a lot firmer noodle. And if you want to work that one with your hands, you can. You might look like me by the time you're done though. So first, I already got 1.5 cups of flour ready. Might want to pour a little slower. And then you're going to take about a tablespoon of salt. That's going to go in. There we go. And I have already separated 8 egg yolks and 1 whole egg. And we're just gonna put that in, get all the goodness out the bowl. And then about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Once you have all that, I have the dough hook attachment already on my KitchenAid. Throw in here. I'm gonna put it down. Lock it in place, nice and slow for a little bit until it gets all incorporated. 10 minutes here, then we're gonna wrap it in plastic, and then we're gonna let it chill. And then we'll just have to cut it, hang it, and boil it, and then we'll be ready to go. So now after it's been going for about 10 minutes, we're gonna take it out. Still pretty much all incorporated, there's a few pieces out. So sometimes I just like to take these and just do a little rough knead real quick, just to make sure it's fully incorporated. Just a few flips. Shape it into a ball. Once we got this nice elastic ball, we're gonna pull out some plastic wrap and wrap it. This is all we're gonna do. Stick out a little bit of plastic wrap, wrap it, into the fridge minimum of an hour, and then you can come take it out and work with it after that. So while that is resting in the fridge for an hour, let's start working on the sauce. So right now, let's start getting our vegetables chopped for the meatballs. We're gonna take about a medium onion. Again, you wanna take off the top. Nice uniform chops. Diced onion, same way every single time. You're gonna go little slits, cut down the middle, and then back across. You have perfectly proportioned slices every time. Once you get all your onions chopped, I'll just go over it one last time, just in case anything didn't get fully chopped. Bowl right next to the board. Now that we got our onions chopped, now's the time to get our garlic chopped. I just like to take out these little ends. They really don't mean anything. This is just kind of a personal preference for me. You can keep them on if you really want to. All right, so now when it comes to your garlic, we're just getting a kind of a rough chop on it. We kind of want them to be smaller pieces. I really have no trick to chopping garlic. I just keep chopping until it gets to the size that I want. Scrape out the knife, bring it back into a pile, go back over. I guess the rule of thumb I would say with garlic is, for your personal preference, what size of chunk of garlic do you want to bite into? And then that'll determine how small or big you want your garlic when it comes to this dish. I personally don't like big chunks of garlic to bite into, but I love the flavor of garlic, so I get it more of a closer to minced. Same thing, just like our onion bowl, garlic goes in. All right, so we're gonna get started on the onions and garlic for the meatballs. It's just a simple saute, nothing too major. I just kind of like to have the flavor from onions and garlic incorporated into the meatball. So I'm just gonna take out about a tablespoon of butter. And yes, I keep room temperature butter in the house at all times. So I got myself a little butter dish and I just put room temp butter in here. Keep it covered for whenever I need it. Cook with, put it on some toast, anything like that. Melts a lot easier and it's a lot easier to start working with. So now that we got this butter melted down, see, that's why you use room temp butter. Took 2 seconds. Melt it. We're gonna take those onions and garlic that we chopped up earlier, get them into the pan, get a quick stir on them. We're gonna get a little salt down, get the moisture out of them. So you just want to kind of sweat these for about 2 to 3 minutes. Keep them moving. You don't want to burn them. If you burn your onions and garlic, then you're going to kind of get that bitter taste inside your meatballs. Nobody likes that. So after about 2-3 minutes, your onions and garlic will get a little translucent. I know you technically can't see them because of the seasonings that are in there, pepper. I actually have butter in mine, so it makes, they still look a little cloudy, but that's kind of the look you're going through, where they look a little softened right there. Kind of how you want them. So now once you get to your onions and garlic looking like that, then we're gonna add in the rest of our seasonings. Got a little onion powder going in. Got a little garlic powder. Some Italian seasoning. And a little oregano. About a teaspoon of everything. Just get them nice and soft. They're gonna have all that flavor in. So what you're gonna wanna do is take this and put these to the side, let them cool down, so whenever it's time to make the meatballs, you're not putting in hot veggies with the eggs and cooking the eggs, scrambling the eggs while you're trying to make your meatballs. For your meatballs with the onions and garlic, we're also gonna get some fresh parsley. Just get a nice rough chop on this. This is just gonna add some freshness to the meatballs. Just like garlic, there's no real rhyme or reason to chopping parsley. So now we're gonna start constructing our meatballs. It's gonna be a 1-in-1 blend of pork and beef. So I got a pound of ground pork right here. And then I got my pound of beef here. This is from the farm that I like to order from, G Farms. Grass-fed, grass-finished. Good people, look them up. Our cooled onions and garlic that we had sauteed earlier. Always keep a spatula with you. Don't want to miss any of that goodness. Gonna go about 3/4 cups of breadcrumbs. This is the first half right here. The rest of them. You're gonna get 2 eggs. Don't crack your eggs over your mixture. Easier to pick out a shell when it's solo, opposed to already incorporated. And then we'll get the chopped parsley. That's gonna go in there. So I'm also gonna put some Parmesan cheese in here, but first I just kind of want to get this mixed up real quick, and then I'll add the Parmesan once it's all kind of been incorporated. I find it a lot easier to mix by hand. Trusty little black latex glove on. Get in here and really squeeze and get all this together. I like to use my hand whenever I get in here because I can feel all the ingredients. So if any of them are like chunked up or anything like that, I can use my hands to really break them down to size. All right, now we got a good mix on this, and we can add in the Parmesan next. After we kind of got it mixed up, I got the grater. We're just gonna go in some Parmesan. Let's say ideally about half a cup is about what's gonna go in here. I like fresh Parmesan over grated Parmesan that's been sitting in the canister. Those have wood chips in it. Don't believe me, look it up. So off the block, grated in, like I said, about half a cup. And there we go. And now we're just gonna, now that we got this, back in with the spatula, mix it all back up and together, incorporate it all. So now that we have everything mixed together, I just went and put a little bit of parchment paper down on a sheet pan, and we're just gonna measure these meatballs. Take an ice cream scoop out. If you want to, you can form these by hand. I find it personally easier to get the exact same size and consistency by just using an ice cream scoop. If you have the ability to do this with your hands and just eyeball it, more power to you. So I'm putting gloves back on. Yes, I've already portioned these, but this is just basically to make nice, complete full circles. You don't want your meatballs to fall apart when frying them. Well, pan searing, let me not say fry. So back to the pot, once we got all the meatballs formed. Again, room temp butter. Just getting this to coat the bottom of the pan. So now once we get all this in here, we're gonna be able to get a good sear on these meatballs. So before we put these meatballs down, we're just gonna sprinkle a little salt on them. So whenever they go on, it's gonna give a nice crust and seal in all the juices inside these meatballs, because you want a nice hot pan for this. So you're gonna want to let these go for about 3 to 4 minutes each side. Get a nice sear, and we'll turn them. Sear the other side 3 to 4 minutes, rotate them, 3 to 4 minutes, rotate them 3 to 4 minutes, and we're gonna take them out. We're gonna put them back to the side, and then once we've cooked all of our meatballs, we're gonna get the sauce going, and then we're gonna finish these meatballs actually in the sauce. So, but it should have a good crust. It'll only take about 2 to 3 minutes once they're in the sauce to absorb a little bit more of that flavor and finish the center of them. That's the main part that we want to get finished whenever we drop these into the sauce, is make sure that center is fully cooked. So we're just gonna add the lid to it, kind of dome it, add a little steam element to it to cook these in the center. And we're gonna rotate them one more time here in probably another minute, redome it, and then once we're done with that, we're gonna pull them, and then we'll start on our sauce, and then we'll add these back to the sauce to finish completely. Now we're to the point where these can come off. GBD all around. So now we're just gonna get some onions and garlic diced up so we can get the sauce going. Same way like I always do. We're gonna go long slices on the onion, down the middle. Chop. Little rough chops. Now that we have the onions cut, now let's just get a little rough chop on the garlic as well. Rough chop on our onions and our garlic. Now we're ready to start our sauce. Back to our room temp butter. Tablespoon out. Let this get going, nice and melted easily since it's already softened. Take those onions we chopped. Those going. Now let's get the garlic in. Sprinkle with a little bit of salt to bring the moisture out. So after about 2 to 3 minutes, with the onions and garlic sweating down, stir in about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Mix this all around. Once you got the tomato paste in there, cook for a second. Probably want another minute or so with this in there. Again, the key to all this is just getting a light cook on it, but not letting everything burn. If you leave them in here too long, without adding any other moisture, they'll start to burn, and then you'll get that bitter flavor. Since we got 2 pounds of beef, and then we're gonna have a bunch of pasta as well, I do 1 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. And then I also do a 15-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. So now that we have the sauce in here, our crushed tomatoes in here, our sweated out onions and garlic, now the same flavors that we added to the meatball, now we're gonna add to the sauce. Layering the flavors. So we're gonna go in with our onion powder. This one will be about a tablespoon because there's a bunch more than what we're putting in the meatballs. Another about a tablespoon of garlic powder. Tablespoon of Italian seasoning. A tablespoon of oregano. We're gonna mix this all in. After we've had our seasonings, now we're just gonna add in a little bit, just a pinch more salt. I'll add a little bit more salt at the table. I prefer not to over salt because it's easier, well, not easier. You can't take salt out once you put it in. So I always just kind of keep it a little mellow at the beginning. And then whenever I need to, a little bit later, I'll add some. And then we'll go in with some fresh cracked black pepper. Get this all mixed up and going. So now with the sauce kind of cooking, we're just gonna let it simmer for about 20 minutes or so. And then we're gonna add in the meatballs after that. So it's been about 20 minutes now. So we have our meatballs that we cooked earlier. And so now we're just gonna place them into our pot of sauce. Make sure we keep your flame on a low. You want it on nice and low. Now that they're all into the pot, lid's gonna go on. See you in another 20 minutes. Now that that sauce is simmering, let's finish up our pasta. The pasta honestly doesn't take much longer past this. We're gonna get down a little flour on our surface. Take our dough out, cover it in flour so it doesn't stick. Just get a little slight roll on this flour. We're gonna end up cutting it anyways to make it easier to work with. I just kind of like to start it off a little flat. Take our bench scraper, section it off. It may not be uniform, but I'll be honest, I'm not a professional chef. As long as it can go through the sheeter, the noodles will come out the same size. One last little roll to make it flat enough to go through our pasta roller. Got my pasta attachment ready. So this is gonna be the sheeter part of it where we just flatten it out. So it's gonna start, it starts at 1, I'm gonna take it to a 4, so I'm gonna run this pasta through here 4 different times, just gradually getting it thinner each step I go. Get this thing turned on. There we go. Feed it through. Turn it to 2 now. Go to 3. As you can tell, these sheets keep getting longer and longer. So after this third one, before I go through number 4, I'm actually gonna pause it. And I'm gonna chop these noodles down a little bit to make more appropriate sized noodles. Yep. So my smallest noodle that I have is kind of how I like to do it. I'll cut it in half or fold it in half. Back out. So now I'll kind of use this as my measurement. This is where I get my uniform from. Kind of measure it. There we go. Now we're at 4. Start back up. So now we're done sheeting all these down to the floor. We're gonna take this off and now we're gonna add our spaghetti attachment. Put this in, and then I'm gonna take a little more flour and dust it over all these one last time, just so whenever it runs through the cutter, it has the ability to cut and not stick. That's all this extra flour is doing. It's just here so the pasta noodles don't stick together whenever they get cut. Back on we go. And like that, spaghetti pasta. Let me just get all the rest of these cut, hung up on the drying rack, and we get to enjoy. And like that, you got spaghetti pasta. So sometimes when these little scraps at the bottom fall, that don't quite make it, I just sprinkle a little flour on them, kind of toss them, just so they don't stick. They're still gonna dry, they're just gonna dry like this, but whenever you drop them into the water, they'll still fall apart because you have that flour on them, so they're not gonna stick. So now we wanna get a pot of boiling water. I've already added salt to it, it's already going. So now we're gonna take our pasta and drop it in. The beauty of fresh pasta, 2-3 minutes, and it's done. By the time I get all these dropped in, it's gonna be time to take them all down, or strain it. Now that the noodles are cooked and strained, bring out our sauce pot, toss the noodles in, mix all this together. Clearly I'm doing this off heat. The noodles don't need to cook anymore. The pasta sauce is still a little warm. Meatballs are still a little warm anyways. So with all this going in together now, we're just gonna let it sit, no heat, so all these flavors can kind of marry together. They're essentially cooking themselves together with the steam, the warmth of the sauce, warmth of the meatballs, and warmth of the noodles, the warmth of the pot. Big pot of spaghetti and meatballs. So now that we have our spaghetti and meatballs made, it's time to test these things out. So even though there's Parmesan already in the meatballs, nothing wrong with adding a little extra to the top. And then we're gonna add a little bit of parsley on top for presentation. So this is what our final product looks like. Let's get in here for you. It's your made for TV bite right here. This isn't an all-week meal. This is a very good meal.